All right, good morning, guys. I'm really sorry that I am not here today, but unfortunately, my daycare provider got called for jury duty, one of the civic responsibilities. So then that means she's sitting on jury trial that starts tomorrow. So I have no daycare this entire week. Thankfully, my husband is willing to take care of Thursday for me and Friday, actually, but I needed to be on today. So we're going to go ahead and start the second unit of our operations with numbers expressed in scientific notation. Please make sure up at the top that you write your name and your number. Pick different numbers every time. Today's date is April 25th, 2017, and then make sure you put your class period. As I mentioned yesterday, our lesson objective is staying the same, that I can perform operations with numbers expressed in scientific notation. Today we're going to be focusing on that dividing. So first thing, let's do a little bit of review. We obviously know how to divide. You know how to type division problems into a calculator, so I'm not worried about that. But we're going to talk about that dividing exponents review. And if you remember that when we divide two powers with the same base, we need to subtract the exponents. So you can see here I have that same base of A. My base gets to stay the same, but then when I look at exponents, I have to subtract those exponents, and as always, go from the top minus the bottom. So we're going to work on some examples of those just to kind of refresh our memory from what we did before. I have 4 to the 5th divided by 4 to the 3rd. So I see that my bases are the same, so my base will stay the same in my answer, but then I need to do 5 minus 3, which gives me 4 squared. I then have x to the 11th divided by x to the negative 4th. My bases stay the same. I have a base of x, and then I need to subtract my exponents. Now remember, this is actually, if I want to go look and do kind of a thinking bubble here, this is 11 minus a negative 4. Be careful on making sure that we're doing 11 minus that negative 4 rather than just 11 minus 4. So we can see that we have that double negative. So we have to do SKU, same, change, opposite. So we have 11 plus 4, which gives me my 15. All right, so we'll go down to problem 3. I have 6y to the 5th divided by negative 3y. So this is where we do our numbers, letters. So the first thing I need to do is I almost just pretend like my y's are not there. So I'm going to do 6 divided by negative 3, which gives me negative 2. Then I pretend like those coefficients, those numbers are not there. And I'm going to divide my y's. So be careful. Remember, as always, there is that invisible 1 that's right there even though we can't see it. So I need to do 5 minus 1, which gets me y to the 4th. Last but not least, okay, we have 10 to the 7th divided by 10 to the 3rd. So my base gets to stay the same as 10. I'm going to do 7 minus 3, which then gives me an exponent of 4. All right, so now I'm going to apply everything we've learned to our dividing with scientific notation. So you can see here I gave you this problem of 3.7 times 10 to the 5th divided by 2.5 times 10 to the 3rd. So similar to what we did yesterday, we're going to do those same steps, except now we're going to be applying our division. So we're first going to divide the 2, just like we did in multiplication yesterday, the 2 decimal numbers. So what that means as far as what I'm going to type into my calculator is I need to type 3.7 divided by 2.5. All right, so I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to do 3.7 divided by 2.5. And I get the answer of 1.48. So my first step is to divide decimals. Done. My second step is the exact step actually of what we did yesterday, except we're dividing rather than multiplying, is I'm to divide the 2 powers. So that means I'm going to take 10 to the 5th divided by 10 to the 3rd. Well, I see I have that same base of 10, so base gets to stay the same. Because I'm dividing, I'm going to subtract my exponents. So 5 minus 3 gets me the answer of 10 to the 2nd. So last but not least, I have to write my answer in scientific notation. So in scientific notation, we always have that number first multiplied by your power. So that means I'm going to have 1.48 times 10 to the 2nd. And now before I can say that I'm done, I need to make sure that I look to see if this answer is written in proper scientific notation. So if you remember with what we did yesterday, I always have to look at that number that's right before my decimal and check to see and make sure that it only has one digit. And that digit has to be between the numbers of 1 and 9. I see that I've got number 1, so I know that it has one digit. It's the number 1, and it's between 1 and 9, so that I know I am done. All right, so go ahead and flip over to the other side. And let's look at some problems together. So, just like we did before, my very first step is going to be to divide my decimal numbers. So that means I'm going to be dividing 9.246 divided by 2.3. So 9.246 divided by 2.3 gets me that answer of 4.02. Times 10 to the, so now what I need to do is I have to get my exponent. So because I am dividing, I know that I'm going to be subtracting. So 4 minus 3 is 1. You are free to go ahead and write the 1 as the exponent, or if you don't want to, that's okay too. I'll note if there's no exponent there, it's implied that it has an exponent of 1. I then need to look at that number that is before my decimal point. I need to double check and make sure that it's one digit, which it is, and it's between the numbers of 1 and 9, which it is because it is 4, so I know that my answer is final and I am done. All right, let's move over to the next problem. 9.549 times 10 to the 7th divided by 9.1. So again, I'm going to divide my decimal numbers, so I take my calculator. And I'm going to divide 9.549 divided by 9.1. And, oh, I wonder if a typo in this problem. Eek, we got a really big number on this one, but that's all right. Okay, so I get this crazy big number of 1.0493. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write that down. So I get the answer of 1.04934065. 9. Whew, that was a big number for today. Times 10 to the, going to double check. Look at my exponents. My exponents, I'm dividing them so that I have to subtract the exponents. So 7 minus 4 gives me 10 to the 3rd. I then have to, just as before, check that number before the decimal. I need to make sure that it is one digit and it is between the numbers of 1 and 9, which it is, so I know that I am done. Good thing I did that one with you. That was a pretty big number. All right, let's move down to the third problem. So my third problem, same thing. Go ahead and type it into your calculator. 2.263 divided by 6.2. All right, this one gives me the answer of 0.365 times 10 to the, so I need to look at my powers, and I look at my exponents, and I see that I have -3. I might write this thinking bubble over here so I don't forget. I have -3 minus a -2. So I have learned that I have to do scoop, same, change, opposite. So I have negative 3 plus 2, which gives me the answer of negative 1. I then need to go ahead and look at my number that is before my decimal point. I need to make sure that it is a single digit and it is between the numbers of 1 and 9. Well, I notice 0 is not between the digits of 1 and 9. So I need to find a way to be able to get that number that's before the decimal to be between 1 and 9. So similar to what we did yesterday, we're going to have to move our decimal point. So I'm going to take this decimal point and I'm going to move it one place to the right. So I know that my number is now going to become 3.65 times 10 to the what? So let's stop and think about this logically. If you remember yesterday, I said to think about this logically. If I started on this original problem and I looked at an exponent of negative 1, it was telling me that I was going to move my decimal place one place to the left. Well, now I just moved this farther away. So in order to get to that one place to the right, I'm actually going to have to do 2 jumps. So that means I'm actually going to be subtracting 1 because I moved my decimal to the right, so I'm going to be subtracting 1. I moved to the right, so I have to subtract 1. So that means, oops, sorry about that. That means I have negative 1 minus 1. Now, if you remember yesterday, we were moving, our decimal kept moving to the left. So when it was moving to the left, that meant I was adding 1. So again, look at them like common sense. Rather than trying to memorize a rule, look at it as common sense and see what you're doing. In order to get this decimal place over where it's supposed to be, I now actually have to get to the left 2 places. So negative 1 minus 1 gets me that final answer of negative 2. It's tricky, but if you look at it where it would be normally, you can usually figure it out. All right, let's look at the fourth one. So same steps. Calculator. So 2.412 divided by 3.6 gets me the answer of 0.67. Times 10 to the, well, I see I'm dividing my powers, which means I'm subtracting my exponents. And these negatives, sometimes I just like to write them down so I don't goof up. So this is negative 30 minus a negative 10. Well, we know that when we have those double negatives, we have to do the SKU method. So same, change, opposite. So now I have negative 30 plus 10, which gets me the answer of negative 20. Then I need to go ahead and look at my number that's right before my decimal point. I see that it is 1 digit, but it is not between 1 and 9. So that tells me I have to move my decimal point. So that means I'm moving my decimal point 1 place to the right. So according to my original answer, I would have had to take this and gone over 20 places to the left because it's a negative 20. So it would have told me to the left negative 20. But now it's like I'm pushing it back. I'm pushing it back farther. So then rather than having to go only 20 places to the left, I actually have to go 21 places to the left. So my new answer becomes, in scientific notation, of 6.7 times 10 to the negative 21st, because I have that additional jump I have to make going toward the left. Okay? All right, so at this point, what I want you to do, and it's really going to be up to you if you do or you don't, I'm going to go ahead and I want you to technically pause the video, and now I want you to go ahead and attempt the 5th problem. Then after you do it, go ahead and you can watch the video to check and see if you got the answer correct. I'm going to go through them a little bit quicker. Then again, do the same thing as to do the 7th one, or 2, 4, 6, sixth one, and then the 7th one and the 8th one. If you prefer to go and do all 4 of them, then just watch the video and check if you have the answers correct for all 4 of them. I'm okay with that as well. I can highly suggest that and recommend that you do not just copy down what I'm saying, because there's no way for you then to have that double check to see how you're doing with your answers. If you have questions, then you can always raise your hand and someone will come around to help you. So again, at this point, you should pause the video and either attempt the next problem or attempt the next 4 and then go through the video. I will go through them pretty quick. All right, so on this one, I have 3.196 divided by 9.4. I get the answer of 0.34. Time to get my exponent, it's going to be 10 to the 8th, because 5 minus a negative 3 is 8. I very quickly see that my number, my final answer, is not in scientific notation. So now I have 3.4 times 10 to the 7th. How do I know it's the 7th? Because according to this, I was going to have to move my decimal place 8 places to the right, but I went ahead and got a start, and I already moved it over 1, which means I only have 7 more places to go. All right, so now we're going to look at this next problem. This is a big number we got to type into our calculator. 8.952156 divided by 5.004. I get the answer of 1.789. That's funny. Times 10 to the, I look at my exponents, 12 minus a negative 5 is 17. I see that my answer is between 1 and 9. It has a single digit, so I know that my answer is correct. All right, here we go. 3.212 divided by 8.03. I get the answer of 0.4. Times 10 to the 17 minus 2 gets me 15. I see that my number is not in scientific notation, so I have to move my decimal point over. I now have 4 times 10 to the 14th. I saw that this told me I was going to have to move my decimal point 15 places to the right, but I could jump start by going over 1, so that's why it became 10 to the 14th. All right, last but not least. $7.7011 divided by 1.1 equals 7.001 times 10 to the, this is negative 12 minus a negative 3, so it gives me the answer of negative 9. I see that my digit before the decimal point is only 1, and it's between 1 and 9, so I know that my answer is correct. Once you have completed these last 4 and double check them according to my answers, you now may now bring the your guided notes so that he or she can see it, and they will give you your homework to begin working on. At any point, feel free to go back and listen to the video if you get stuck, and use your guided notes to be able to answer the questions.